Hey everyone, this is Stu Maddux. I'm the director of Queer Ghost Hunters, and with me this evening is one of the co-creators of the whole concept, Shane McClelland, fellow queer ghost hunter, and another extraordinary queer ghost hunter.
Hi guys.
Hey. And also Scott Priddy is another extraordinary queer ghost hunter who joins us tonight to ask a queer ghost hunter anything. So, how are you guys doing?
Good. How are you doing?
It's good. It's like our first live thing. So we had a few 5 minutes of lateness coming out of the gate, but whatever. It's all laid back here, I think. So it was nice. We got a few questions from our Facebook followers, and one of them was from Michelle, who asked, "What's next for the show? Where are we going next?" And anybody want to jump in and explain where we've been? Nobody want to explain?
I was waiting for Shane to jump in.
Should I just say one or the other? Maybe let's just make that the house rule here. Okay, Shane, what about that question?
We might have lost Shane.
Oh, okay, so Scott, while we're getting Shane back, so let's talk a little bit about what it was like. We went to Mansfield, Ohio,
Yes.
and the Ohio State Reformatory, which is wickedly haunted, but in a good way, I felt. What did you think?
I've been there a couple of times. This past time it wasn't, so yeah, wicked would probably be a good word for it. Definitely one of the most notorious hauntings in America, if not the world. It seems to be one of the most sought after places. It's like the holy grail of ghost hunting. So yeah, it's always a great time to go there.
Shane, are you back? I have a feeling that we finally achieved being able to shut up Shane. I think he can probably hear us. Boy, this is luxury. But anyway, so actually, you took the dowsing rods. We'll work on getting Shane back. But you took the dowsing rods, and but then you quickly, in the first get together, handed them off to somebody else. Why was that? What happened?
Sometimes you can just sense, I don't know how to explain it really. If the rods are kind of weak, I think there's a couple of reasons for that. It could be that the entity is just weak in general. They don't have enough energy to communicate, or they just don't have the desire. And so I try to get a sense and try to feel like what they might be feeling. And sometimes it just seems to me like they don't want to talk to me. There's somebody else in the group that they like to talk to. So I was trying to be a little quicker in feeling that and asking that question, and it seemed to work. So we passed the rods off to Susan, and it seemed to be a good move.
So we were looking for queer entities, and we had done some research before this, thanks to a fellow queer ghost hunter, Katie Detro, but also some independent research as well that we built on, that found a lot of people that were convicted of sodomy from the early 1900s. And Susan seemed to make contact with one of them. And Shane, if you're back, just jump in.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but we can't see you, which may be better. I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure, because I feel like, yeah, hang on.
It's a really cute picture of you. So anyway, we gave you handed the rods over to Susan, one of the fellow queer ghost hunters there that night, and it worked for her.
Yes, it seemed to work for her, and the entity wasn't queer, if I'm not mistaken, because I think we determined that he was actually attracted to Susan.
Oh, really? I thought he was convicted of sodomy. So, but well, I mean, whatever. Yeah.
So I remember we asked somebody that was communicating with Susan. We asked if he was attracted to Susan, and I remember getting a yes out of that.
Oh, okay. Well, let's not pigeonhole people. I guess it's all.
And we've kind of talked about this before in other interviews. Attraction can mean different things. I think we always jump to the assumption that attraction means a physical attraction. We really should probably not do that. I mean, attraction it could have been her energy. It could have just been he just liked her looks. I mean, who knows? Attraction is I think there's many different levels of attraction.
Yeah, because Susan's a little bit of a magnet for entities. She has people just wanting to hang out with her in general. So
Yeah, I've actually been on other hunts with Susan, and she seems to definitely attract some. She seems to always have good interaction on the dowsing rods. So yeah, she's a good one to have on a hunt.
So then, I like how Shane is kind of like popping in and out.
I think I'm like fully here now.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's good to
Yeah,
have-
yay. Yay. And we're
So-
back.
Okay, so you're just in time for the second queer contact of the evening that happened at Mansfield, which was, oh wait, we put lipstick on you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us about
Yeah, so we had this like cool idea to try to use lipstick as a trigger object for some of the entities that might have been there. And you know, like we had like the tube of lipstick, and then we decided to put it on me, and you know, I mean, it worked out. So
it looks really, you really.
I mean, it looks fantastic. Yeah.
And actually,
Any
wait a
excuse to
minute,
put the lipstick on.
you put the lipstick on, didn't you, Scott?
I'm sorry.
Didn't you put the lipstick on Shane? Is that right?
I made an attempt.
He
Didn't work so
poorly
well.
put it on me. Yes.
So does he obviously have experience doing this, or was this his first time out of the gate?
Me?
Well, yeah, Shane, was he like going like this with it, or did he get it right?
It just wasn't really like smooth, so it was like choppy on my lips. It was real weird.
You can't tell from the pictures. I can't wait to show people those because it really
Well, I fixed it.
like a cross between a Rocky Horror. It's a little bit of a Rocky Horror.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's what I was going for. You know, I'm a big Rocky Horror fan, so that's exactly what I was going for. But he just wouldn't let me do it.
Okay, but now this was not to just have fun. This was actually to help attract queer entities up on what was called the ladies' wing by people there at the time, the place where people who were gender or sexually variant would be housed, supposedly for their own safety. Do I have that right? Am I telling it right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have great shots of you guys all walking down the hallway and Shane with beautiful lips leading the way. And what happens next?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't know.
Yeah, you were busy looking at the.
I don't know. We went into the we were in the ladies wing, and we went into a cell. And I remember Michelle being there with the periscope, and we set the tube of lipstick down next to it, and then we started trying to make contact, and we were eventually able to get it to interact. And the periscope is this like weird device with these like optical fiber tubes that come off of it that it can light up any different color, and the entity was able to make it go around the circle, and then it made it light up red, pointing at the red lipstick. So it was pretty cool.
Do you feel like you made contact?
Yeah, definitely.
So I didn't get like a really bad vibe that evening, but I'm not really I just kind of watch you guys doing your thing. I don't really feel a whole lot when we're shooting. Are you guys feeling like a particularly good energy or bad energy? Do you get a sense of whether it's good entities or bad entities that are around us?
I frequently do. Like I can usually tell if it's something that's kind of darker, or that it gives out this like energy, this vibe that's like you shouldn't be here, or we don't want you here. But there really wasn't too many instances of that particular evening. So it was more welcoming than what I've experienced in the past.
Yeah, I felt that too. And maybe it was because we were like, it had been closed all summer, or all winter rather, for tours. Right. Maybe they were bored, stir crazy.
They were probably bored and wanted some folks to chat with.
So Scott, you actually made contact with someone up in a cell on the ladies' wing a little bit later in the evening, right?
Yes, we did. And if memory serves me correctly, it's funny that you mentioned, did they want us there? We were communicating, and I was getting that sense of they didn't want to talk. It was getting weaker, so on and so forth. And I think we eventually asked the question, "Do you want us to leave?" And they said yes. But not before we got some good information. I got to be careful. I don't want to share a whole lot. But that one was probably one of the better interactions and some details that we got.
Yeah, I am feeling like season 2 of the show is going to be off the hook good, because it just was really authentic, and not that it's always authentic, but I mean, it really felt like we were breaking some new ground with history too. Like the people that we actually. So there was a guy we did make contact with named Michael, and we found a prison record of him from the 1910s. I'm not sure if it's him, but I mean, I would say 80% looks like it might have been him. So maybe there was a connection there. But those kinds of stories are going to come out in season 2, which is just really exciting for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's like one of the most exciting parts about this investigation. We were able to do so much research, and kind of. We had just like lists of names and stuff, and we could go back and try to see if anything matched up with the information that we received that evening, to see if we were actually able to make contact with, someone that we could verify was actually there, and maybe convicted of some type of either queer type crime, or maybe they were giving us clues that they were queer, but maybe they weren't there for sodomy or something.
Well, now you were in one of the shower rooms, both of you guys, but Shane, you kind of like did something different that I hadn't seen the queer ghost hunters do before, which was you kind of got serious with this one entity that was apparently kind of serious and kind of mean. I wouldn't say that you got mean, but you definitely laid down the law with this entity. Am I reading that right? Was that how it went down?
Yeah. No. So this entity is like a known entity there, and he's known to be aggressive and angry and mean. But he was also aggressive and angry and mean with the inmates that were at the reformatory, and we, based on the history, and we had been making contact with that particular entity, at least that's what we believed. So it was kind of like, well, you know what, he's not really queer anyway, so let's just like ask him stuff and see like what kind of responses that we can get, and do more of that kind of like traditional ghost hunting stuff, where it's like, hey, work with us, and we don't need like your life story, because we already know it, it's been documented by 1,000 other people. And we were able to talk with him, and I think like it was kind of like when you stand up to a bully and they kind of just like chill out for a little bit, and it was very much like that. Like we had more flowing conversation after. It was just like, look, we're not going to handle your nonsense, so you should just talk to us like we're human beings.
Oh, that's good. That's a great way to put it. It was like standing up to a bully. He was a bully, wasn't he, according to his story? Like,
yep.
Yeah. But now, Scott, was that you were also making contact in the shower room with the same guy? But I mean, okay, so I'm doing the audio, right? And I have wireless microphones on each of you, and we have the crew shooting and stuff, but they can't hear what I can hear, and I hear your heartbeat starting to get louder, 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 and you were visibly kind of getting more upset. And you can say why. I mean, it was because we had too many people crew-wise in the room, I think, right?
Well, at that point, I think when you made the comment that you could hear my heartbeat, I think we'd already like thinned everybody out. We split up into groups. We kind of toned it down a little bit. And I had a really strong connection with him. The dowsing rods, that's probably the strongest I've seen the dowsing rods move in my hands anyways. And he was just very strong. And there's a couple of times where it was just like it became real. I don't know how to explain it. Like I always believe, obviously, but I'm still skeptical. And then at some point you're like, oh my God, this is actually real. And then knowing he was a more, I don't want to say darker, but like you said, a bully, and we know he like mistreated some of the inmates, that kind of started unnerving me a little bit.
So we got the total queer experience as far as our, even today's life. We've got the bully, we've got the person who lived a life probably closeted. I think you can go ahead and say, Scott, that it was a transgender well, somebody expressing gender differently than their biological assignment up on the ladies' wing there that you made contact with. Is that a good way to put
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it was very exciting, and I honestly can't remember the questions that led up to it, but we finally got around to asking how they identified, and I think at one point I even asked the question. Obviously you got to remember back in their time, gender reassignment was not an option, but I was just very curious, and so I asked the question. I can't remember exactly how I phrased it, but I asked if you had the opportunity and if you could, would you have changed your sex or your gender? And they said yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's, I think, a trick for people. I feel like we have to explain that a lot repeatedly, is that we don't just say, hey, are you queer? Maybe Shane, Scott, can one of you jump in and explain how you kind of roll that out to an entity and kind of like make them understand what you're asking?
Yeah, so we just kind of like, I mean, we identify ourselves, kind of like we're the queer ghost hunters, and then we always introduce everyone, and we try to say, like, I'm Shane, I'm gay, and that means that I am attracted to men both romantically and sexually, and like, and then Michelle might have said, I'm a lesbian and I'm attracted to women, both romantically and sexually, and then Kai might try to somehow explain the concept of trans to folks who they may not even have had a concept of homosexuality. So we really have to like break it down where it's like, you're just like whatever you're kind of assigned at birth doesn't necessarily line up with what you are, or any of the plethora of ways to explain queer. We kind of try to work through all those different definitions, and then it's we end it with, if you feel like you meet any of that, or like you think you might be something like what we're trying to describe, you can come over and talk with us, and that's fine. Like, we're not trying to be exclusive, we're trying to be inclusive, but we'd really like to talk to some people who kind of meet our definitions.
I think they hang out with you guys because you're fun. I mean, y'all are, it's not like confrontational.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely different than anything else that's going on TV.
Yeah, we definitely have a different approach, and I think that's what helps us make the contact.
So, well, that, I mean, pretty much gives a sneak peek of what's happening with season 2, which we're going to roll out starting in June for Pride Month. And so please subscribe to it and to our YouTube channel right here, and you'll be notified when that happens. But so what would we want to, I mean, Michelle's question was really not about Mansfield as much as what do we want to do next? And my wish, if we can go around and say what our wish investigation would be. My wish investigation would be to go to a Civil War battlefield next and find people who presented as men who were women. And while, we don't know all the reasons behind that, like we don't with any of this history, it does seem like we're the right people to kind of be investigating those stories. That would be my dream investigation next. What about you guys?
Yeah, no, I love the idea of a Civil War battlefield, just because the whole way that people presented differently to be enable themselves to fight, it opens the door to whether it's lesbian or trans issues on top of just even like traditionally like gay men that may have been fighting in the Civil War. But I really want to like I love that, and I completely agree with it. But I really want to go to the upstairs lounge.
It's not funny, but I think I'm excited. I didn't mean to laugh at the upstairs lounge, but yeah, that sounds really good.
Right? Like it's a really intense story, and I really love the queer culture around like bars, and how that created chosen families, and it was a safe place, and you got to be yourself in a time when you couldn't be yourself anywhere else. And the events that unfolded there are just extremely tragic in general, but especially in light of it being just some place that was supposed to be like your home away from home with your family. So I think there would be some just really excellent stories to tell and history that was, you know, deliberately covered up that we could help shed some light on.
Yeah, I would highly recommend. I mean, I know you guys have seen it, but anybody else out there watching this, Robert Camina's Upstairs Lounge documentary, which was on the film festival circuit a couple of years ago. I think it just released on DVD. But anyway, it is probably the definitive work on that tragedy. And boy, is it a tragedy on not just the loss of life, but the way it was handled by a city. So yeah, it's definitely some good stories there. What about you, Scott?
I can't make up my mind. The Civil War would actually be great. Like Gettysburg's on my list of places to go. The Upstairs Lounge definitely, or even an asylum is high on my list. I think that would be another good place to get some good queer stories.
Definitely.
Because that's where they put us, right?
Yeah. They didn't know what to do, so we just, you know, try to make you quote unquote straight or better. You know, let's just throw them in an insane asylum and see what we can do. And I can't help but wonder if we could find some trans folks there as well.
Yeah, I mean, how did they make? What was their like procedure for trying to make you straight back then, or not a deviant?
Yeah, I mean, there was, I mean, various kinds of therapy. There was like electroshock therapy. There was visual therapy where they would show you images of the gender that you should be attracted to, and in some instances they would also try to like sexually stimulate you during that. And then of course there was like medications that they were using. It's just a lot of it is, I guess the best word is like horrifying. Kind of like what they were trying to do to people to make them change a fundamental part of what makes them up. And specifically like at Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia, NPR did a little story on a gentleman who was institutionalized there. I think it was like in like the 60s, maybe it was the 50s, I don't know, but he's still alive. And his family had him institutionalized for being gay. So there's definitely still people who were impacted by the insane asylums for their sexuality.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the question list here. Oh goodness, here's a great question from David. Well, it was a suggestion. You should go to the home of President James Buchanan in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Guess where Joe and I, producer of the show, guess where we're going to be next month on the screening of another film? Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Maybe we should all do I'll do my part of the webcast from there next time.
Yeah, double duty.
Double duty. So do you think that President, he was gay? Is that the story? Does anybody know that story?
I mean, I don't know it real well, but I know you can Google it and get lots of information, and that he was like a perpetual bachelor, and that, you know, I think he had a longtime roommate, and like the gossip of the day was that, you know, he was gay. So.
And then there's the always the standard question here, is the bear still single? All the questions.
Are you serious? Is that on there for real?
These questions just as much as I do. Maybe you, who is this? Do you know these people that you're sending? What's going on? Are you
That's
like
what it is.
a little fan?
Scott just has someone ask that every single time.
I don't think it's me. I think it's someone else putting someone up to it. But no, the bear is not single.
Yeah. So are you going to give us any? Because we don't even know. Not even your bestie queer ghost hunter friends know what's going on with this.
Well, I got
maybe it's a ghost
secret.
Scott is in an intense relationship with a paranormal entity that he doesn't want to talk about.
That's right. And his name is Charlie Maddox.
Right.
And it goes back to because when you were there last time, you actually ended up taking home an entity named Charlie Maddox. No relation to Stu Maddux, maybe. We all have good taste though in the Maddoxes, so that would go to follow. What's going on with Charlie Maddox, this entity prisoner in your house?
Well, it's actually an interesting story that I love. Actually, my boyfriend was in town from Seattle, and I wanted to take him to the prison. He knows I've been there, he loved it. So we actually went up there for a daytime tour for Shawshank Redemption. Because as everybody, well, some people may not know, but that's where Shawshank Redemption was filmed. So you can actually go and tour the prison for during the day, and I thought it'd be nice to go see and show him and all that. And so I wasn't in ghost hunting mode. So typically when I leave a hunt, I have a little mantra that you can't follow me home, so on and so forth. And I just didn't do it. And then sure enough, a couple days later, I could feel somebody in my apartment and got the rods out, started communicating. And we determined that his name, I don't know why it was just in my head. Like, I don't know, I hear names in my head sometimes. So I was able to determine that his name was Charles or Charlie. And then it couldn't have been 2 or 3 days after that. Katie sent out a picture where she was doing her research. And I think she sent it out just because his last name was Maddox. So she was just kind of joking around like, oh, look, Charlie Maddox. And I'm like, well, that's just an odd coincidence. So anyways, this entity hung around and, I was communicating with him. He seems very pleasant. And I asked if that was him and he said yes. And I actually pulled my phone out and showed a picture and I had the rods. I'd actually had Skyped my boyfriend in. I had a girlfriend here with me as well. And had the EMF and the rods. And when I put that picture up on my phone, the EMF started going crazy. The rods were, kind of getting really active and all that. And he said that, yes, that was him.
So what's it like having this prison dude at your house from the 1900s?
He doesn't bother me. I actually kind of use him for protection. I think he is kind of like here just for my protection. He lets me know if somebody's around. He has definitely done that a time or two to let me know that, hey, somebody's here. You might want to try to figure it out, get rid of him, whatever the case may be. And so he's not bothering me. So
You think we could include that in the next season, kind of that storyline, or is that too personal?
Not personal for me.
Okay, we'll ask Charlie too, see if he's okay with it.
And he was supposed to go back with me. Like I had this deal with him that he would go back to the prison and he needed to make himself known while we were there filming, and he did not do it.
He had a prior engagement.
That's right.
As a boyfriend in Seattle.
So yeah, and I haven't talked to him since. I'm a little mad at him. So.
Well, in the last few minutes, I've been asking all the questions. Do you guys have any thoughts, comments before we kind of wrap it up for our fans? All right.
I don't know.
Actually, one of the things I've always wondered, Stu, is when you kind of stumbled into this project, were you a believer? Like, did you believe in ghosts and spirits, or
I wasn't.
Like, where were you at?
Yeah, I kind of am the same way that you guys are. I become a believer during one of the investigations, and then I get skeptical, just like you do afterwards. Like, you start explaining it away in your head, and then you go on another investigation, and you're looking at how it's mostly the patterns, how things all happen at once. Like the EMF will go off while the dowsing rods are moving, to the questions that are being asked, and I'm like, yeah, this is a little too. And then the EVPs, the electronic voice phenomena, are very compelling evidence. So I would say I was not a disbeliever. I was open, but I was a disbeliever of the people. But you guys have made me much more of a believer in the actual credibility of the people who are doing paranormal investigating. Because I mean, Shane, you're an attorney. Scott, you're nonprofit guy. All you guys are legitimate. You have lives. You're not like out there like this all the time.
Can you do that one more time?
Wait. There. Oh.
There you go.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's really been a treat to follow you guys, and I thank you for letting us kind of direct the season 2 a little bit, because we kind of had to kind of produce it a little bit more authentically and everything, but we had to kind of like say, wait, stop, let us move the camera here, So I hope that was a kind of a slow start on Mansfield. Like, it took a while for us to get rolling and get going. So
it was definitely different. Like, just having a lot more cameras and people around. It was weird. Because I mean, before it was like guerrilla filming it. It was like Stu running around trying to do everything, and then this time it was like people had like GoPros on them, and then we had like camera crew, and Stu, and then like Kai was filming some. So it was just it was different, but it was cool. It was real cool, and I think it's gonna like help us catch a lot more of the angles and give kind of like a better experience to everyone to be able to kind of see like what we're seeing when we're seeing it.
Yeah, agreed. I think that I hope it didn't. I don't think it messed up the paranormal part of it, but it's a learning experience, right? All this is, you guys are developing the concept. We're kind of developing the show, and we're learning how to do it all differently. It's not like your standard ghost hunting shows.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Trial and error for sure.
Well, I guess that wraps it up for this week, unless you guys have anything else. I just want to let everybody know that some of your questions will be in a pre-recorded segment that Kai Stone, one of our queer ghost hunters and our team videographer, is putting together. So look for that. In the meantime, please keep sending us your questions on Facebook or here on the YouTube channel, and be sure to subscribe. And if you feel so inclined, we do need your support to continue these investigations and finding this lost queer history that's out there. So you can go to our Patreon site and maybe just kick in a couple bucks a month to help us keep on chugging. In the meantime, we will see you next week if I can find the stop button. Since this is the first time.
We might just
So now
sit
we
here
have to
until
sit here
next
and keep
week.
talking.
Talk amongst yourselves. Say something like, you didn't want to hear, like, pretend your microphones are off, but they really aren't, and say something really mad.
I think that kind of loses its effect when you tell us to do that.
Okay.
We just need like the Jeopardy final question music playing.
Is it like the hang up the phone button? Leave call?
Yeah. Leave call. Hang up.
Okay, leave call. Bye.
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 Do we all have to leave? Oh my God. Bye, guys.
Bye. Oh, wait, stop. Wait, I'm still on. Bye. Stop broadcast button. Okay, we got it. We'll do it better next week.